Welcome to Lantern Light. There is nothing you need to remember and nothing you need to keep track of. You may drift in and out of the words. The story will remain quiet beside you. You are standing on a narrow canal-side street in Bruges in the early evening as rain falls quietly over the cobblestones. The stones beneath your feet are wet and dark, polished smooth by centuries of footsteps, and now reflecting the last pale light that remains in the sky above the rooftops. The rain falls lightly, steadily, with no wind to drive it sideways. It descends in a quiet, vertical curtain that has been falling for hours and will go on falling for hours more. There is no urgency to it, only patience. Before you stands a narrow house, 3 stories of pale stone rising toward the gray sky. Its gable is stepped in the way of many Bruges merchant houses of the late medieval period, each tier catching a thin edge of rain. The ground floor is a workspace and storage room. A thin line of amber light seeps beneath the front door, warm against the wet stone of the threshold. You step inside, not dramatically, just quietly, the way one enters a familiar room at the end of a long day. The door closes behind you with a soft sound of wood meeting wood, and immediately the rain softens. You no longer feel it on your skin or hear it drumming on the street. Now it is only a low, continuous murmur against the small windows, a presence rather than a sensation. This is sleep through history. There is no pressure here and nothing you need to keep track of. You are welcome to drift without following every word. Let the evening settle around you at its own pace. The room you have entered is simple and still. The walls are whitewashed plaster, pale and unadorned, catching the firelight from a low hearth on the far wall. The fire burns without haste, its flames shifting slowly across the surface of 2 or 3 split logs. The light it gives is soft and amber, moving gently across the walls and ceiling in patterns that repeat and dissolve and repeat again. Near the window stands a wooden table, its surface worn smooth by years of use. On the table, a clay oil lamp burns with a steady, unhurried flame. The wick does not sputter. The flame does not lean or waver. It simply holds its small circle of light in the gathering dusk, asking nothing of you. Against the wall to your left, bolts of cloth are stacked in orderly rows on heavy wooden shelves. There is undyed wool, cream-colored and softly nubbed. There is wool dyed scarlet, the red deep and saturated even in this low light. There is cloth the color of woad, a blue so dark it is almost black where the shadows gather in its folds. And there is natural gray, the color of moorland sheep, practical and plain. The cloth stays where it is placed. The bolts sit in their rows, neither needing anything nor offering anything more than their quiet presence. They have been here all day, and they will be here tomorrow. Bruges, in the 15th century, was one of the great cloth trading cities of Northern Europe. Wool arrived from England and was woven and dyed here, or traded onward through the canal network that threaded through the city like veins through a leaf. By evening, the trading was done. The house has settled into its own quiet. You move a few steps farther into the room. The floorboards are wooden, dark with age, and they give slightly beneath your weight without creaking. The air is cool near the stone walls and windows, carrying the settled chill of an autumn evening in a house built of stone and timber. But as you move closer to the hearth, the air grows warmer, and you can feel the difference on your face and hands. The fire is low but alive. It does not need tending yet. The lamp on the table burns without flickering. Everything is where it was placed this morning, and nothing has moved since the last bolt of cloth was set back on its shelf before the trading day ended. You can smell the wool now, raw and finished both, faintly lanolin sweet, the scent of fibers that have traveled across water and through many hands before arriving here. Beneath that, the smell of old wood and beeswax, the faint mineral dampness of stone, the trace of canal air that always lingers near the windows, and wood smoke curling slow and thin from the hearth. Outside, the rain continues its patient fall. You can hear it now as a soft sound against the small paned glass, each drop arriving and departing in a rhythm so steady it becomes less like sound and more like texture. Somewhere farther away, water moves through the canal, though you cannot see it from where you stand. The house breathes around you. A timber beam settles. The fire exhales. There is nothing sharp here, nothing sudden. The evening has arrived, and the house has received it the way it receives every evening, with the same low light and the same patient stillness. You are here now. The rain falls. The lamp burns. The cloth stays where it is placed. You move through the house now with the same ease you have moved through it 1,000 times before. There is no hurry. There is only the familiar rhythm of closing the day, of drawing the house inward around you as the evening deepens outside. The rain continues its soft work against the windows, and you begin with the shutters. Each window has its pair of shutters, wooden and solid, fitted to close over the small leaded panes. You move to the first window and draw the shutters inward, one side and then the other, until they meet in the middle. The latch slides into place with a quiet sound, metal into wood, and the rain changes. It becomes softer, further away, as though it has taken a step back from you. You move to the next window and close those shutters too. Again the sound shifts, muffled now, gentler. The glass no longer catches the faint grey light from outside. The room begins to turn inward. At the third window, you for a moment with your hand on the shutter. Beyond the glass, the rain traces slow lines downward, and somewhere out there, the canal moves in its patient way, though you cannot see it now in the darkness. You draw the shutter closed. The latch settles. The rain becomes something happening elsewhere, something the house holds at a distance while you remain here inside, where the air is beginning to warm. With the shutters closed, the room becomes its own weather. The fire's warmth begins to gather, no longer slipping out toward the cool glass, no longer drawn toward the damp air beyond the walls. It stays here now, moving gently through the room, rising toward the beams overhead, settling around you. The lamplight seems brighter, though you have not touched it. The flame burns as it did before, steady in its glass chimney, but now the light has nowhere else to go. It fills the space between the whitewashed walls, even and soft, neither too bright nor too shadowed. You turn toward the hearth. The fire has burned down since you lit it. The flames lower now, moving over the wood in slow waves of orange and gold. It does not need much. There is a small stack of wood kept beside the hearth, and you choose a single log from it, not large, just enough to carry the fire through the evening. The wood is dry and solid in your hands. You place it onto the fire with care, setting it where the flame can find it. The fire accepts it slowly. There are no sudden sparks, no sharp sounds. The log settles with a low compression, wood meeting ember, and the flame begins to spread across the new surface. It does not hurry, it moves as fire moves when it has all the time it needs, climbing the bark in thin, bright lines, feeling its way along the grain. The warmth increases, but gently, as though it were only breathing a little deeper. This fire will burn for hours without further attention. Above the fire, the stone hood draws the smoke upward into the chimney. The chimney is wide and old, built into the wall when the house was young. Tonight, the air outside is still, and the draw is steady and quiet. The smoke rises and disappears, pulled upward into darkness, and you hear nothing from it but the faintest whisper of movement, the sound of air doing what air does. You step back from the hearth, and the warmth follows you, or perhaps you carry it with you now, held in your clothes, in your skin. The room feels different with the shutters closed and the fire tended. It feels complete, as though it has drawn a breath and settled into itself. Your gaze moves to the bolts of cloth along the wall. The lamplight reaches them now from a different angle as you pass, and the textures change in the light. The undyed wool looks almost silver, soft and pale, holding the glow like something woven from quiet itself. The woad blue deepens toward night, the color of the sky long after the sun has gone, and the scarlet cloth holds its warmth, rich and steady. Each bolt is rolled tightly and stacked on its side, and you run your hand along the edge of one as you pass. The wool is dense and cool under your fingers. The cloth stays where it's placed. You move to the table and sit in the chair you have sat in so many times before. The wood is smooth under your hands, worn by years of use, by hands that came before yours, and by your own hands, night after night. There are papers on the table, a tally sheet, a record of what came in and what went out, weights and lengths noted in a steady hand. You do not read them now. They lie as they were left, slightly overlapping, held at one corner by the base of the lamp. They do not need attention tonight. They will be there in the morning, patient and unchanged. You sit quietly, your hands resting on the table, and you listen. The rain is still there, softer now through the closed shutters, a presence more than a sound, and beneath it, or behind it, or woven through it, you can feel the canal. You cannot hear it exactly, but you know it is there, the water moving slowly as it always does in Bruges, through the channels that run behind and beside the houses, through the city that was built around this movement of water. At night, it becomes the quietest, most constant thing. The lamplight rests on the papers, on the wood, on your hands. The fire breathes its warmth into the room. The cloth stays where it's placed. You are here, and the house is closed around you, and the evening deepens without haste. The room has settled fully now. Nothing in it is moving except the fire, and the fire moves slowly, a low breathing thing, its light shifting on the walls in long, gentle rhythms rather than quick flickers. The flames have found their evening pace, neither reaching nor retreating, simply present, casting their amber glow across the whitewashed plaster in waves that arrive and recede like something tidal, something patient. The rain continues. It will not stop tonight. This is not a problem. It is simply a condition of the evening, steady and familiar, the way autumn rain in the Low Countries settles in for days at a time, moving across the flat landscape without hurry, filling the canal slowly, making the cobblestones shine. You can hear it against the glass, that soft, persistent sound, each droplet finding the window panes and sliding down in paths worn by all the rain that came before. The sound does not change. It does not ask for your attention. It simply continues, the way water continues, the way the canal outside continues, dark and still beneath the surface of the rain. The house is quiet, but it is connected to everything. The canal flows just beyond the wall, part of the network that moves through the city, carrying what needs to be carried, connecting this narrow house to the wider world in ways that require no effort, no thought. The water knows where to go. It has always known, and tonight it simply receives the rain, rising imperceptibly, its surface dimpled and soft. Your attention begins to rest on the textures of the room. The plaster of the walls is not perfectly smooth. It has been whitewashed many times, and the surface holds small ridges and irregularities that the firelight picks out as very faint shadow. Running a hand along it would feel like very fine linen, slightly chalky, cool away from the hearth. The texture is gentle under your fingertips, real and present. The accumulated work of years made into something you can touch. Near the fire, the plaster holds a little warmth. Near the windows, it stays cool, the autumn air pressing close against the other side of the stone. The wooden floor is worn smooth by years of use. Near the shelves, it is slightly darker, the grain almost invisible under decades of foot traffic and oil. Someone stood there often, sorting cloth, counting inventory, their weight settling into the same place day after day until the wood learned the shape of that standing. Near the walls, the floor is lighter, barely touched, the grain still visible in long, pale lines. The merchant's chair at the table has worn its own small depression into the floor, a slight hollow where the legs have rested, where they rest now, part of the room's geography. The bolts of cloth are still. Their colors have deepened in the lower light. The lamp is burning its evening level now, not the brighter working light of daytime. The scarlet is a darker red, the color of wine held up to candlelight, rich and saturated. The woad blue is nearly black at the edges of the stack, only showing its true color where the lamplight catches the curve of the rolled fabric. The undyed wool is warm gray, soft and neutral, neither dark nor light, but something in between, the natural tone of the fleece before dye ever touched it. The cloth stays where it's placed. The fire makes a small sound, not a crack, something softer, a settling of ash beneath the log. The sound comes once and does not repeat. The room returns to its quiet, that particular quality of silence that is not empty but full, layered with small presences. The rain, the fire's low breath, the distant sense of water moving through stone channels, unseen but there, always there. The smell of the room is most present now. Wool and lanolin, a faint sweetness that is not perfume but simply the natural quality of clean fleece, present in the walls and the shelves and the air itself. The scent has settled into everything over time, into the wooden beams overhead, into the plaster, into the floorboards. It is the smell of the work done here, quiet and persistent. Beneath it, old wood, the dry, slightly dusty scent of timber that has stood for generations, holding the house in place. A thread of smoke from the hearth, not unpleasant, familiar, the particular smell of seasoned wood burning down to embers. The damp stone smell has retreated as the room has warmed, still there but underneath, a cool note at the edges where the walls meet the floor. You rest in the chair, and the chair holds you without effort. The wood is warm where your hands rest on the arms. The seat has shaped itself over years to receive weight, to offer support. There is nothing you need to adjust. Nothing requires your attention. The room continues around you, its rhythm unchanged by your presence, welcoming and indifferent in equal measure. The lamplight glows on the surface of the table picking out the grain of the wood, the small marks and scratches that are the evidence of use. A ledger rests near the lamp, closed. A wooden spindle lies beside it, still. These objects ask nothing of you. They simply exist in their places, part of the room's quiet composition. Through the rain-streaked glass, the faintest reflection of the fire moves on the canal water. You cannot see it clearly, only the suggestion of light on darkness, a warm glow touching the surface of something cool and deep. The rain blurs the boundaries. Inside and outside blend at the edges, separated by glass and stone, but connected by light, by water, by the shared evening. Your attention begins to soften at the edges. There is nothing to follow. The room continues. The fire breathes. The rain falls. The cloth rests in its careful stacks, undisturbed, each bolt holding its color in the dimming light. Everything is where it should be. Everything remains. The lamp on the table, the fire at the hearth, the rain on the shuttered windows. These three sounds, or the near sounds they make, the soft hiss of the lamp's wick, the low breath of the fire, the continuous murmur of rain are the only things moving in the room now. Everything else remains as it was. The table holds the lamp. The hearth holds the fire. The shutters hold against the rain. Nothing asks for anything. The bolts of cloth rest on their shelves. They were placed there carefully, each one set straight, each one aligned with the next. They do not require anything. They are simply there, as they were when the trading day ended, as they will be in the morning. The cloth stays where it's placed. The weight of the wool settles into the wood beneath it. The shelves hold. The walls around the shelves hold. Everything remains. The warmth from the hearth reaches the table steadily. It does not rush or flicker wildly. It simply spreads, moving through the air the way warmth moves, filling the space between the fire and the walls, between the fire and the table, between the fire and the cloth on its shelves. The amber light from the lamp meets the amber light from the fire somewhere in the middle of the room, and together they rest on the whitewashed plaster, on the worn wood of the floor, on the surface of the table. The canal outside is very quiet now. Earlier, there may have been the sound of a barge passing, a voice on the water, a rope against stone, but those hours are gone. The water moves without anyone on it. Its sound, if it can be heard at all, through the stone and the shutters and the rain, is only a slow, low presence. The canal has always been there. It will be there in the morning. Right now, it moves in darkness, carrying the rain that falls on its surface, carrying nothing else. The fire has not needed tending. The log that was placed an hour ago is burning evenly. Its surface settled into a deep orange that pulses very slowly, almost imperceptibly, as the fire breathes. There is no sound from the hearth except the low, continuous breath of heat rising, of wood becoming warmth, of flame holding its place. The warmth reaches the table. The warmth reaches the shelves. The warmth reaches you where you rest. The rain continues on the shuttered windows. It does not grow heavier or lighter. It simply falls as it has been falling since the afternoon, as it may continue to fall through the night. The sound it makes is so steady that it becomes part of the stillness, part of the quiet, part of the room itself. Rain and lamplight and the low fire, rain and wool and warm wood. These are the whole of the room. The papers on the table are still. They have not moved since they were set down. The lamp beside them is still, its small flame steady in the glass, its light resting on the wood, on the linen surface beneath it, on the plaster walls. The walls hold their faint amber warmth. The walls have held this house for a long time. They will hold it through the night. The bolts of cloth rest on their shelves. Each one was placed carefully, each one aligned. The wool does not shift or slide. It remains where it was set, row after row, bolt after bolt, everything in its place. The shelves hold the cloth, the walls hold the shelves, the stone foundation holds the walls. Everything holds everything else, and nothing moves except the fire breathing, the lamp flickering so faintly you might not notice, the rain touching the glass. The canal outside is dark now. The water moves, but there is no one on it. No barge, no voice, only the slow current, the rain meeting the surface, the stone banks holding the water in its course. The sound of it, if you listen very carefully, is beneath the sound of the rain. Beneath the rain, and beneath the shutters, and beneath the thick stone walls. It is there, low and constant, the way water is always there in this city, threading through every street, every house, every night. The fire has settled even further. The log burns with a deep, even glow, orange and amber, and the faintest edge of gold where the flame touches the wood. The warmth spreads. The light spreads. Both reach the table, the shelves, the cloth, the walls. Both fill the room with the same steady presence they have held all evening. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change. Rain, wool, warm wood, fire, these are the whole of the room. The lamp on the table, the fire at the hearth, the rain on the shuttered windows, the cloth on the shelves, resting where it was placed. Everything is still. Everything is held. Everything remains as it is, as it was, as it will be when the morning comes and the rain stops and the shutters open again. But that is not now. Now there is only this: the lamp, the fire, the rain, the cloth staying where it's placed. The fire breathes low in the hearth, its light shifting across the whitewashed walls in slow golden patterns that ask nothing of you. The lamp on the table continues its quiet work, the oil burning steadily, the wick glowing soft and amber in the stillness. And outside, beyond the small paned glass, the rain falls as it has been falling, light and patient, tapping against the shutters, running down the stone, disappearing into the dark surface of the canal. You rest here in the warmth of this narrow room, feeling the weight of the evening settle around you like a familiar cloak. The walls stand close and steady, holding the warmth of the fire, holding the golden light of the lamp, holding the silence that fills the spaces between one breath and the next. There is nothing that needs attending now. The bolts of cloth remain in their orderly rows along the shelves, their edges aligned, their surfaces smooth and undisturbed. The cloth stays where it's placed. Your body rests into the weight of the wooden chair, or perhaps you have moved to the bench near the hearth, and either way, the weight of you is held without effort. The room knows how to hold what is placed within it. The fire knows how to burn. The rain knows how to fall, and you know how to rest here in this small circle of warmth and lamplight, while the autumn evening continues its slow deepening beyond the windows. The walls are close and steady. The rain continues its quiet work against the shutters and through the stone and on the canal, and it will continue long after the lamp has burned low and the fire has settled to its embers. This thought does not trouble you. Instead, it allows you to rest more deeply, knowing that the world continues its slow turning without needing you to watch or tend or keep account. You breathe, and the room breathes with you. The warmth from the hearth moves through the air in gentle currents, soft against your face, soft against your hands. The smell of wool and old wood mingles with the faint sweetness of wood smoke, and beneath it all, the cool mineral scent of stone and canal water, damp and ancient and unchanging. There is warmth, there is weight, there is the slow breath of a room that has been here for a long time and will be here long after this evening is over. The fire shifts quietly in the hearth, a small settling of embers, a soft exhale of heat and light. The lamp flame sways just slightly, though there is no breeze, only the small movements that come from burning, from time passing, from the patient transformation of oil into light. Outside, the rain continues, each drop finding the stone, finding the glass, finding the surface of the water, and disappearing into it without sound. You do not need to listen for anything. You do not need to wait or wonder. Everything that needs to happen is already happening quietly in its own time. The cloth stays where it's placed. The fire breathes. The rain falls. Your eyes may be closed now, or half closed, resting in the dimness, in the warmth. The golden light from the hearth moves across your eyelids if they are closed, or across the whitewashed walls if they are open, and either way, the light is gentle, asking nothing, offering only its soft presence. The room holds you as it holds the bolts of cloth, as it holds the table and the lamp and the fire, with the same steady patience, with the same quiet certainty. The stone walls know how to stand. The wooden beams know how to bear their weight. And you know how to rest here in this small house along the canal while the rain falls and the fire breathes and the evening deepens into night. Everything continues quietly without needing anything at all. The warmth, the weight, the stillness, the rain on the glass, the light on the walls, the slow and certain breath of a room that has always been here, waiting.